Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So I have been watching people do this and it looks like so much fun. I think I also did it last year. I'm not totally sure, but if I did, I will link that video down below. Basically, it's just all about freaking out about books that we've read in the first half of the year and books that we are looking forward to in the second half of the year. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first question is the best book you have read so far this year. And as I did with most of these questions, I'm cheating. So basically, I have two books to talk about for this question. The first being Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I read this book, I want to say back in February. Yeah, because I think I finished it on Valentine's Day. This book takes place during World War II, during the evacuation of Germany. So basically, we follow four different perspectives. We follow a German soldier, we follow a man who I don't really remember what his story was. We follow a little Polish girl, and then we follow another woman, and basically all four of them are trying to get out of Germany before Russia invades, and they have to get on a boat, which is why this is a sea-themed book. Basically, this tells an untold World War II story. It is historical fiction, but it is based in this horrific thing that happens that no one talks about, that no one really knew about because Germany covered it up. And I read this, I was so affected by it. It is definitely the one book that I keep thinking about that I've read this year that has just really stuck with me and is definitely one of the best books I've read ever, much less this year. My other favorite book of the year is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is a sci-fi book, which is really surprising because I usually don't enjoy sci-fi, but this one sucked me in and did not let me go. I was absolutely obsessed with it. As you probably heard, it's told like in a dossier of documents, not so much a normal story, which is probably why I was so engrossed in it, because it was told so uniquely and it just really grips you. The plot is amazing. It deals a lot with AI and just space in general, and I am not a space person, so I don't think I knew that this was about space, or like I'd forgotten it, and when I started I was like, oh god, this is about space, I'm gonna hate this. I was attached to this. I love it so much. I love the characters. I love the writing. I loved everything about this. Both this and Salt to the Sea I gave 5 out of 5 stars, and I just love this. Next up, we have favorite sequel for the year so far, and this is going to be no surprise, but my favorite sequel is Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I believe I read these books back to back. I don't really know which one I liked most. I can't choose because they were both so good and so just engrossing and amazing, and they're different in their own ways, and just the way they connect and everything, it's just amazing. This follows a whole new set of characters than the last one, but then like their paths cross as it is the second book in a series. I am so excited for the third one. I cannot wait. I know I have to wait quite a while, but like so good. The next question is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to. So this was in my top 5 books I want to read this summer video, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone this year and absolutely loved it. I was obsessed with Laini Taylor's writing, and just the way she tells a story is just so beautiful and just so engrossing, and just a different feel than a lot of the other authors I've ever read. So I do really want to get into this. It's such a beautiful book. Like, look how shiny. It's so shiny. I really do want to get into this. I know that it is about a librarian who is obsessed with this lost city of Weep, and I guess he finds it. I don't really know. I've heard mixed reviews about this, but it's just something that I think I'm gonna really like, and I hope I do, but I'm hoping to get to this really, really soon. The next question is my most anticipated release for the second half of 2017, and that has got to be Genuine Fraud by E. Lockhart. I read We Were Liars, I believe 2 years ago now, and was absolutely obsessed with it. It was one of my favorite books of the year. I still think about that book. I know that a lot of people like didn't really love it. I was on board with that book from start to finish. loved it so much, and I really liked the way E. Lockhart wrote it, so I'm really excited to read more. I just feel like Genuine Fraud is going to be a great read for me as well. I don't know what it's about, I'm gonna be honest, and I really don't want to know. I know I'm like really annoying when it comes to that, because when it comes to books I haven't read, I'm like, I don't want to know what it's about. I'm not gonna tell you because I don't want to know. Sorry, that kind of sucks. But I am super excited for Genuine Fraud, and I just cannot wait for September when it comes out. Next up, we have your biggest disappointment in the year so far. Yet again, I'm cheating. I have 2 for this just because the one stuck out to me more, but then the more I thought about it, the more disappointing the other one was. So I've talked about these already on my channel. The first one being Wink Poppy Midnight by April Genevieve Chacholk. This was in my disappointing books video. Basically, I think I was only really excited for this book because I love the cover, so it's not too much of a disappointment, more so that I didn't like this book more than the next one. I just couldn't get into it. The characters were just... I don't really want to get into it because I really went in on this book in my video. If you would like to watch that, I will link it down below. But yeah, it's short, but it was a waste of time. My other biggest disappointment I also talked about in my disappointing books video, and that is The 100 Lies of Lizzie Lovett by Chelsea Sidoti. I was actually really excited for this when I heard the premise of it. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna love this. Basically, it's about a girl who goes missing, and our main character, what's her name, Hawthorne Creeley, is obsessed with her disappearance and just kind of starts to live her life. And, well, Hawthorne Creeley starts to live Lizzie Lovett's life. Lizzie Lovett goes missing, and Hawthorne becomes obsessed with it, and just things ensue. This was so disappointing for me just because when I heard the premise, I was like, I am gonna love that. And I know it's contemporary, so it's not super like thrillery, which is kind of what I was more hoping for. This has a lot of weird aspects to it. I didn't like Hawthorne at all. It just was not my cup of tea, and it's super disappointing because I had such high hopes for this book. The next question is the most surprising book you've read this year, and mine is a reread. And the reason it was surprising was I enjoyed it the first time I read it. It wasn't my favorite book by any means, but I enjoyed it. And then after I read it, I started hearing all these people talk about how much they didn't like it, how it was a cliche, and all this other stuff. And I was like, oh god. I did want to continue with the series, so I had to reread the first book, and I was not looking forward to doing it because I was like, oh my god, this is going to be such a cliche like everybody says, and I'm not going to like it. And I really enjoyed it. I won't say I loved it, but I really enjoyed it. And that's Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I'm sorry. This book is so much better than what people give it credit for. Yes, it's cliched, but the twists in this book just gave me life, I have to say. I was obsessed with these twists, even though I'd already read it, even though I knew it was going to happen. I just loved it. I was so surprised because I was like, now that I know all of its faults, I'm gonna like hate it. I didn't hate this. Yes, there's a lot to it that like looks and feels like Divergent, and looks and feels like a lot of other dystopian novels that you've read, but there was some really different stuff going on in this novel that I liked. Not so much different, but surprising aspects that even though I knew what was going to happen at the end, I still really enjoyed the journey, and that was what was surprising for me. I didn't love the second or third books, as I've said in previous videos, but this one, I was so shocked because I did enjoy it. Yet another question I'm going to be cheating on, and that is your new favorite author. So I have discovered 2 authors this year that I am now obsessed with, the first being Laini Taylor. Like I said, I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone this year and just loved it so much. I want to say I gave most of them 4 stars, or if not all of them 4 stars. I just love the way she writes. I just think it's beautiful and just so enticing and just entrancing, really. I just loved her writing a lot. And then the other author that I discovered this year that I think I'm gonna become like a fangirl about, and I know that her writing is not perfect, I know that there are character elements that she does that people don't like, but I was so engrossed in her writing, and that is Sarah J. Maas. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I actually just finished it a few days ago. I loved this, and I think if her other novels are anything like the way she wrote this, I'm gonna love all of her novels. I'm reading the second one right now. I want to read Throne of Glass. I just think I'm gonna become a super fan for Sarah J. Maas, and I know she's not perfect. I've heard all the problematic elements, and I'm still just like, I'm trash for this, I have to say. Next up, we have your new fictional crush. And I thought long and hard about this because I don't think I'm at a place anymore that I'm like crushing on fictional characters. Maybe I'm wrong. But as far as like book characters, I really don't remember the last time I was like, oh my god, I'm in love with him. But I thought about it and I chose Akiva from Daughter of Smoke and Bone. There's just something about him. I know he did something awful to her at the beginning. I know that things could have gone better. But the way that he just is so, I don't even know, like genuine. And like he feels real compassion about and guilt and regret over what he did, and he does like just really love her. He really just loves Karou, and just there's something about the passion with which he feels for her that I was drawn to. There's probably a million problematic aspects to his character, but there's just something about him. And I don't like angels. That's not a plot line that I enjoy, but for an angel, he was pretty damn hot. Next up, we have your new favorite character. I went with Feyre from A Court of Thorns and Roses. I've only read this book, so my opinion of her very well may change. I just really enjoyed her character. I thought that she was really a nice balance of the whole like survival thing mixed with a good love interest. I feel like a lot of books when girls were supposed to be like, you know, survivalists and they lived a hard life, it's really hard to see them as good love interests because they kind of tend to be a lot rougher and tougher. And not that I don't enjoy that, but sometimes they make awkward love interests. And then there are other girls that only make good love interests and there's like nothing else to them. I think she has a good balance, and I don't know, I just think she's kind of kick-ass and amazing. And she does a lot of stuff in this book, like a lot of stuff in this book, and I just really liked her. I really did. Next up, we have a book that made you cry. And I had to think about this one, and I kind of went, I don't really cry at books anymore. Not that I don't like feel really heavy emotions or, you know, get kind of melancholy when I read sad books, because I got really, you know, sad when I read Salt to the Sea, but I didn't cry. And I think the only book that has brought me the closest to tears this year was I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. This follows two twins, and we follow one perspective when they're 13 and one perspective when they're 16. At the beginning of this novel, they're best friends, and then when you switch perspectives, they're not speaking anymore. And basically, you just find out what happened to them and what's going on in their lives that made them like this. This book killed me. And there's like this moment in this book that I'm like, oh my god, and I kind of called it, but at the same time, it didn't make it any less powerful. There's so much to this book. There's love and stuff in it, but it's so much about family, and I didn't think I was going to be really into that, but oh my god, I was wrong. This was amazing. There were parts that I started getting kind of teary-eyed just because you feel really bad for people. Like, there are just people that in this book that I was like, well, like, Noah's, you know, bullied and stuff, and you feel really bad for him, but then Jude has a ton of stuff that she goes through, and then both of them are going through, you know, all this stuff, and it's just so heartbreaking in certain places, and this did get me pretty teary-eyed, pretty misty. I didn't cry, but I got really close. Next up, we have a book that made you happy, and this is by no means a traditional choice, because I don't think that anyone else would be like, yeah, this book made me smile, this book made me really happy. But mine's Atonement by Ian McEwan. And I think the only reason this made me happy was sometimes when I really love a book, I get very nervous when I go to reread it, especially like years later, because I'm so scared that I'm not gonna like it anymore. I had to read this for my Contemporary British Authors course, and I still love it so much. I did a paper on this, and I'm working on getting it published in my school's undergrad research journal. I just love this book, and I think what made me so happy about it was revisiting the characters, having a more mature view, I guess, than when I was 16. When I read this, I just loved revisiting these characters, this story in general, and even though it's such a rough, hard story, I still loved it, and I think that's what made me so happy was it's still one of my all-time favorite books, and that hasn't changed, because this is the first time I reread it, and like, I was so scared I was gonna hate it, and I didn't, and that makes me so happy. The next question is your favorite book to movie adaptation that you've seen this year. I'm gonna be honest, I really don't like book to movie adaptations. I think I'm gonna make a video about this because I have such a problem with them, and I'm really not sure that I saw any this year. Like, thinking about it, I don't think I did. I think I'm gonna make a video all about why I hate book to movie adaptations, but yeah, that's that question. I will also be skipping the favorite review that you've done this year because I don't really do many reviews on my channel because I hate taking notes when I read books. When I read for fun, I read for fun, and when I read for school, I read for school. And because of that, I don't take notes. And because of that, my reviews tend to be like a jumbled mess. I think I did like one review book talk when Cursed Child came out, and that was such a mess. And like, I had so much fun filming it, and I probably should do more reviews, and I kind of want to review ACOTAR, but I don't know. I think I also don't review books because I am so far behind in so many releases. But then again, if I want to do it, I should just do it. So maybe I'll do a Court of Thorns and Roses review. We'll see. The next question is the most beautiful book that you've bought this year. I'm not sure if this is totally true, and maybe I'm just forgetting all of the beautiful books I've bought, but there was one book when I read this question that I thought of, and that is And I Darken by Kiersten White. I love this cover. I have to like look at it in the viewfinder because I'm like, it's so pretty. I don't know why I love this cover so much, but I do. I just think it's so beautiful, and it's the main reason I wanted this book. I don't know what it's about. I don't remember. I knew that I liked the plotline when I heard it, but I don't remember anymore. I know I want to read it because the cover is pretty. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I think this is another video I need to make because, oh my god, there are so many. My TBR pile is like 200 books strong at this point, and it's overwhelming and awful. But the books I can think about right now that I need to read are either the books that are in my top 5 I want to read this summer. I also want to read ACOWAR, and I also need to read ACOMAF and ACOWAR because I'm so into this world, and I just need to finish the trilogy. I'm obsessed. My friend Emily told me I would be obsessed, and oh boy, am I obsessed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all the normal stuff, and I'll see you guys again real soon, maybe with a review of ACOTAR. We'll see. Have a great day, guys.